Hello, everyone. This is Joe Dagger, Business 101, and with me today is Bob Petruska. Bob is with Sustain Lean Consulting in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're here a little bit to talk about creating an A3 learning organization. And then you jump down into the lower half as we start talking about root causes. Now we're going to look at the root causes that's stopping us from getting there.
Right. The root causes are getting to the bottom of the reason why we're not meeting those goals. The most important thing, I think, when we talk about getting into root causes is to really clearly identify what the gap is, and more important, what the pain of the gap is. We start with this idea of defining what the problem is, and that is the area that I think people really misunderstand.
This A3 is kind of an organization, a learning organization, a little higher level. Can you explain this map to me?
The causal map is a very simplistic way of getting to root cause. What I find is that when you go to a client and you tell them, well, you should use 5 whys, or you should use the Ishikawa fishbone diagram. Often, especially people in knowledge work, they struggle with it. It's like, well, why do I have to do 5? And you tell them, well, that's just the name of the tool. It's not really what you have to do. And then it just kind of devalues or detracts, in my opinion, from the experience. The Ishikawa is great. I love the Ishikawa, but it's made for Japanese, and Japanese start at the end of the book and work their way backwards. So, for example, my wife, she'll start at the end of the book and work her way to the front, and I could never understand that, but it's just the way they'll look at it from left to right. So we start with the causal map with thinking about people who speak English, and we read from left to right. That's where we put this red sticky, which will say the impact of the issue, and we start there. We say, well, what's the impact of the problem or the gap? What's that going to mean? And what we're after is making a clear business case, or what Cotter would call creating a sense of urgency.
Can you just briefly explain how I would use the map, the causal map? Give me an example of it real quick?
Yeah, it's very simple. Basically, you start with this idea that, okay, what's the impact of the issue? So I'll ask you a question. It's Monday morning, you're going to work, and you turn your key in your car, and it goes click. What's the problem? And often people will say, well, the problem is the battery because it went click.
I disagree. I think you got to turn the key harder a couple times.
Yeah, turn the key harder. Get out, kick the car, right? You do all the things. You might swear at it, whatever, but you're not getting any closer to getting to work. And so what I tell people is that if you think the problem is the battery, you're limiting your solution set. In other words, you're thinking that I need to go to my neighbor and remind him that he borrowed my chainsaw, and at 6:45 in the morning I'm going to wake him up and say, okay, get your truck out and your jumper cables and come over because you borrowed my chainsaw last year. That's kind of a tough sell. Besides, it might not get you to work if the battery is not the issue. However, if you think about the problem is my car is not going to get me to work today. Now you open up a whole nother set of solutions. So if you think the problem is the car is not going to get you there, what kind of solutions might you come up with?
Oh, I call a taxi, right? I'll call an Uber.
Uber, right? So you think Uber, or you might telecommute that day because my car's broke, and then it changes the way we prioritize our day. And that's why defining that problem in that big red is very important, that we look at it from that way. And of course, the other thing I like about the causal map is it has these and functions in here. It's this and that, or this or that. So it talks about interactions. And often we think of things in terms of linear rather than interactions. And this map speaks to the interactions that could cause it. That interaction can open up a whole new solution set and a different way of thinking. And the solutions, of course, are listed in green, or possible solutions that we might want to test out.
Tell me where someone can contact you and the best way to get a hold of you.
Bob Petruska is my name, and my website is bobpetruska.com, www.bobpetruska.com. or you can pick up the phone and give me a holler, 704-615-3731.
I encourage people to reach out to you. A resource of information, a great resource of knowledge, and one of the more people persons in the consulting side that I know. So thanks a lot, Bob, for your time, and a great looking A3 here.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great one.